It's my pleasure to introduce you David Rousset from Microsoft, who is doing the second keynote. And David, well, he will present himself, I think, but he came to talk about web audio and web extended reality, virtual reality, and fun applications. So, David.
Thank you. So it's my pleasure to come. I've seen some very interesting talk this morning, highly technical. We are just after the lunch. I know that some of you would love to maybe have a little bit of a nap after lunch. So my goal is to keep you awakened with fun demos. It would be probably less technical, but maybe more immersive. Just a reminder, you have that in your bag, like stickers you can put like myself on my laptop. So today we're going to see two of them. This one, if you don't know it, is the logo of WebXR, of XR on the web. This one is WebRTC. I will do a little bit of WebRTC in some of my demos, without, obviously, web audio. So my name is David. I've been working for Microsoft for a long time, like 22 years. So I've been through IE6 up to the death of IE, and then Chromium Edge. I've been co-writing Babylon.js, which is an open source 3D engine doing WebGL, WebGL2, and today WebGPU. And one of my most major contribution to the project, I've been creating that with another David, another French guy named David Catu, was around audio and VR. So I'm a huge VR fan. That's why most of the time when I'm doing conferences, I'm boring about VR. You will see some VR demonstration. I'm working in the developer division, so my official job is not to do that. This is my spare time, so this is stuff I've been doing on my spare time. I guess a lot of developers are like that. We're coding our free time. And my girlfriend is on the first row, so she's a little bit distressed sometimes to see like, oh, I've got free time, I'm going to code today. And the developer division is in charge of GitHub, VS Code, Visual Studio. We've got some AI services like GitHub Copilot. I don't know if you heard about this AI to help you code for you in a way, to help you being more productive. There's some AI. We talk about that with Michel. So I'm doing a podcast with friends also, and we talk about AI also to generate images, like maybe you've heard about DALL-E, GPT-3, and also to generate music thanks to AI. So this is still stuff I have in my mind to try to play with those AIs to do stuff in the web. And you can reach me on Twitter. So DAVROUS is my alias, like my blog, my Twitter handle, and my email address. So for people that don't know Babylon.js, because my demos will be based on my little baby, it's a 3D engine built on top of WebGL, WebGPU. I've already shared that. We also have included support for web audio and WebXR. It's an Apache 2 license, so you can do whatever you like with the project, fork it, break it. You can use it without giving us credit, which is what most of the people are doing in the open source community. So thank you. So this was my first open source project, and I discovered the beauty of open source. Nobody is reading the source code. People are blaming you not to be fast enough, even if it's a free project and well, whatever. I've managed to convince my old friend to quickly switch to TypeScript. So it's fully written in TypeScript, so we have support for types, and it helps us to be more productive. And we have support for WebVR out of the box. So it used to be a pet project. We started together like a garage project, and it was then used a little bit by Adobe, and then Microsoft started to use it without knowing it was made by a Microsoft employee. So for a specific reason, we do not want to be associated as Microsoft employee to Babylon.js, because just rewind in the time. It was a time where IE was the most hated browser ever by the web community. So it used to be the most loved one, IE6, yes. And then IE6 became the most hated one. So we weren't really invited to any conferences. So Mozilla was, the best company to work with for open source and web standards. That's why we didn't want to have our name like Microsoft name associated to Babylon.js. But then the project started to be popular and being used by Microsoft. So Bing is using it today. SharePoint, it was one of my last contributions. I don't know if you know about SharePoint. It's a relatively boring product, with documents. And one day they told me like, oh, David, you're currently writing VR support. We love to use it. SharePoint? What happened to SharePoint? Like, I remember about a boring product and now you would like to do VR. So they're using it and the feature is named SharePoint Spaces. Microsoft Teams is using xCloud, which is our gaming cloud service, is using for the touch controller on iPhone and Android. So we are just a layer on top of the video stream by the server. And Adobe is using it, is the US Army and other companies. So there is a dedicated team at Microsoft working on it now. But I'm not part of this team, even if I created it at the beginning. So web audio and Babylon.js. So when I started to, so I'm a huge passionate about audio. I'm doing a little bit of music composition myself on my spare time when I'm not coding or playing video game. And when I started to play with web audio, it was, you all know about web audio, I guess. But for people that would like to use Babylon.js, the spirit of it was it's supposed to be simple for that any kind of developer should be able to write some 3D in an easy way. So it shouldn't be too complex, and 3D developer, we love to make stuff complex just, to print out we are better than the other average developers. So we have specific vocabulary like shaders. So, when you talk about shaders to people, like, oh, wow, this guy must be really awesome because he knows about shaders. So, but it's fake, like, it's just like a facade to pretend we are great. So we wanted to simplify a lot of the concepts so people don't have to bother about what is a vertex, stuff like that. Obviously, up to a certain level, then you need to understand a little bit what's going on in 3D. And I wanted to have the same spirit for web audio. I didn't want that to be too complex, so I wanted to simplify a lot. And what I had in mind also was to support the scenario of video game and later on VR. So we have support for ambient sound, which means that it's not specialized at all. It's going to be played, if it's a stereo file, it will be played in stereo or mono. It could be, omnidirectional or directional, meaning that you can, thanks to web audio, have just a cone of sound being available in 3D. And then the way to have the attenuation done in 3D is by default, it's linear, meaning that if you can have a sound being specified at after 100 meters, there's no real unit in 3D, but let's say after 100 units, you won't be able to hear anymore the sound. And it's being handled either by our code or directly in our format. So when you save a scene, 3D scene, you can either use the Babylon.js format or GLTF also today, which is a standard format used by the industry, to put the reference to sound there. So meaning that you can build a scene, and we're going to see a demonstration of that, just using the 3D modelers, put the various sound, and have a full immersive experience with 3D audio. So now I've got a full lot of experiments. So the first part is non-VR, and the second part is VR, which could break at any time. So let's start by very simple stuff. Let's hope I've got sound. Let's check that you can hear my sound. And I've got the mouse. Will be better than that. Great. So you see that the way to create a sound in Babylon.js is super simple. Babylon is our namespace. Sound is the object. You give it a name. You point to the URL, and you specify in which scene you would like to add this new sound object. And then it will manage, the download in sync way of the sound. It will create the audio context if it's not being created yet. It will check, now you need to have a user interaction to enable the audio context. We're doing everything like that for the user. Because for a lot of users, they don't really care about web audio. They just want to play sound. And this is what was the intent. So once this is done, so you have potentially a callback to just tell you that this is done. You can use async await now to to have like the magical the beauty of async await to hide the complexity of callbacks, and then you can play the sound. So get ready. This is just a gunshot. And this was the first demonstration. So this is super simple, something that a lot of people would like to do in games. Michel told me that his student has been building a first-person shooter. How surprising, like people would like to build this kind of game. So they will be able to do that in their game. So the next one, this is something that I haven't coded myself. So the beauty of open source project, when it works, people start to contribute to your project. You have to wait like almost 100 years before it happens. But it happened. And then someone wanted to have sprites being supported, meaning that, you're going, rather than having 6 files being downloaded in parallel, you're going to download a unique file. So for performance reason, it could be better, to download a unique file. And the same concept of sprites in 2D, meaning that, I have various images that I'm going to cycle and animate. You're going to be able to access to specific parts of the file to be able to play it. So there is a unique file there, you can see, named 6 sounds, meaning that there is 6 sounds included into this file. And then you're going to define the various parts. So going to start at 0 for 5 seconds. Then after 5 seconds, 5.1 seconds, there is another part that's going to last 6.6 seconds, etc. So if I'm playing random sound, it's going to play one of them, which is, I cannot, anticipate with sound. So I'm going to play it a second time. So we can now imagine kind of a Resident Evil game, I guess, being based on that. And you see, it's very easy to use once again. So really, it's simplicity, like the goal we have with Babylon.js. So thanks to the contribution, it fulfills our dreams. Now we're going to switch, like obviously you're in a 3D scene, so you need to have 3D sounds. So the first part to do 3D sounds is to create sounds, the same way we've seen it before, there. So I'm creating, a sound object, and this is some music I've been composing that's going to be playing in loop during all the talk. So you're going to hate my music after this talk normally. So I'm going to ask to play that in loop. To add spatial sound, I'm going to tune, the audio graph of web audio to enable 3D panning. So this is the way I'm doing it. And what is the max distance where the sound is going to be propagated? And to be able, and then I'm going to set the position in the virtual world. So you see, it's a little bit complex for now. This is the low-level access to 3D sounds. To help people to understand what's going on, so I'm going to unmute the sound. I've displayed those purple sphere, which means that this is where the sound is supposed to live. So if I'm moving into those spheres, I'm supposed to hear the sound. So I start to hear the sound because I'm at the beginning of the circle in a way. If I'm going closer to the center, it should be louder. And now I can move out of the sphere. It stops. And voila. so we are inside the 3D sound. So it's an easy way for people to understand what's going on. And this is done for you, meaning that you have nothing to know about 3D, the complexity of updating whatever is being done for you. Obviously, what you would love to do next is to, rather than thinking about putting a sound object in 3D coordinates, is to create a sound, like we've seen before, create a sound. And this time I'm going to attach this sound object I've been created, the music. I'm using the attach mesh function to a 3D object, which is a box. By simply doing that, the 3D engine is then going to take the 3D position of the object, play the sound there, and update it in our render loop. So now if I'm unmuting the tab, I don't know if you can hear stereo sound there. Maybe you can, I don't know. No, I don't think you can. Well, so just trust me. Like, based on where the box is, you will hear like on the left, on the right, in the middle. If you're using a headset, we have support for HRTF, which means that you will be able to have the feeling it's behind you. So using one line of code, which was the intent. So I'm doing choices for the developer, and up to now, they seem to be happy, which means that if you like to do more custom stuff, you need to build your own web audio audio graph. This one is fun too. So this one, I've created a sound, but with some directional cone objects. So I don't know if you know that, but in web audio, you can specify that the sound is going only to be projected into this specific cone. So it means that until I enter the cone, hitbox, I'm now in front of the cone. The sound is being played. I'm, away from the cone. It's not being played anymore, even if I'm close to the object. So pretty fun. So now you can argue, so okay, like it's ugly boxes and simple object. What can we do with that? So the next step is to create like more immersive scenes, like this one. So I'm going to unmute it, and you start to have the spirit of the talk. So it's a bit frightening. So this time I'm moving into the 3D scene. And while I'm moving, you will start to hear some specific sound because it's using what I've shown you before. Like there is 3D objects everywhere in the scene. So just by moving inside the scene, like you will start to hear some objects. Thanks to web audio. Web audio is doing most of the work. What I'm doing is just like updating my 3D scenes to match, to synchronize the sound with the 3D scene. So you have interaction part. And there is other fun part I will show you in VR, if I'm lucky enough. Otherwise, I will switch back to non-VR. Just checking the time to see if I'm still on time. Yes, I'm still on time. So to show you how it works, also we have, I'm going to let it like that. So we have an inspector that is useful to inspect the 3D scene. So you can see the nodes there. So you have like, so it's being built by French people. So you see that because it's alley, like Arbre Rouge. So like, and sometimes American people say, what is alley? How to say that? So alley. So my English accent is not great, but I'm glad that the American people struggle also to pronounce our French words. So it's for just to annoy my American colleagues that we decided to name the object in French. And you have sounds over there, which could be useful just to do some special tests, like for instance, grenouille, which is frogs, for frogs legs people. I can pause the sound. I can pause also the hibou. And normally I should have a music loop. I'm going to pause it. Now you just hear like the flies and stuff like that. So we have included also like all the sound are in the scene graph, which means that you can debug them in an easy way to check what's going on. So far, so good. So the next part is going to, so I'm going to progressively add feature I've been working on to do demonstration. So obviously, who don't know about the web audio analyzer? One people, two. Okay. So in web audio, you have access to a real-time analyzer, meaning it's going to analyze the audio stream and give you the frequencies and stuff like that. And we like that. I'm a huge fan of audio amplifier also, or Dolby Atmos stuff. I like to see visual stuff associated to my sound. Like if you remember about Winamp, we have those beautiful visualization. I could like it's hypnotic for me. I could stay forever in front of those stuff. So, and that's why I guess the web audio guys decided to implement the analyzer. This is my own thought about that. So I'm using the web audio analyzer, which then going to give you access to the frequencies. And what I'm showing you there is if I'm playing the sound. Rather than playing that in 2D, I'm playing that on a ribbon in 3D because everything is better in 3D, to be honest. So I will share the source code of each sample. You can play that on whatever machine. We're running on Mac, Linux, iPhone, Android. So everything is working on all devices. And it's really classical access to the frequency data and play with it based on what you like to do. So to go a little bit further than that, I've got this one that I've been creating like for fun too. And maybe before playing it too much, like my goal with there was to have access to the, in electronical music. So I don't know what's the scientific name of, because I'm not an audio expert. Like, I love audio, but I'm not an audio expert. So I've been working on my algorithm to analyze the and try to make it visual. So I'm going to stop because I can watch that for hours and then you're going to be bored. But it's being generated by this code. So it's just procedural way to generate, 3D objects. I'm looping through colors of my torus, and based on the frequency, I'm going to display like the torus, which are far away from my little sphere, are the highest frequencies. So and it's fun to watch, to just see it's living in a way. Your code starts to live and do stuff you wouldn't have anticipated. So I really love to do that with audio and 3D. It's art in a way, to my point of view. And I was doing that when I was young on Atari and Amiga. So who is Atari in the room? Oh no, which means with Amiga? Oh, maybe we're going to win for Atari for once. Okay. So a final feature before switching to my last sample in 2D. This one is, I've got demos at the end. If we have enough time, I've got other demos, but I wasn't sure about the timing. But this one could sound stupid. I'm going to show you why, and you're going to try to understand what's going on. So what's going on? Exactly, the closer I am to the object, the louder it is. The further it's loudest, which is counterintuitive, okay? But why not first? So I decided to let people to create their own attenuation function. So I think in web audio at the beginning, we had access to that because it's also a spec that has been evolved. But I wanted to be able to modify the attenuation function myself with some code. That's why I've been creating this function. And maybe only for me. This is the beauty of creating your own framework. If you like to create something for you, nobody can prevent you from doing so. It has helped me to create this demonstration. So this demonstration is once again using my music, so sorry for that. So we have boxes. On each boxes we have a sound, and when I'm going to move this box to the center of the sphere in a way, like the ring, it's going to boost the volume. So when I'm close to the border of the circle, it should be low, and when I will be in the center, it will be high. And I wanted to do a kind of a mixer, you see what I mean, to mix my music in real time. So it supports multi-touches, but my VR machine doesn't have a touch screen. So you will be able to test. It can work on my iPhone, for instance. You can use many fingers, or on a tablet will be better. So let's do it one by one. And when I'm using it, it's going to use the analyzer also to play it, with fire around. Because particle is fun. And then now I can tune the volume based on what I like to do. So for instance, this one is voices, I guess. Oh, no, it's not. It's just violin, but I guess what is... so this is not this one. So this is this one. I know. I remember that there is some voices. They are not there anymore, okay. And what you can do also is to associate box together. So let's imagine that I would like to do the French version of that. So I'm going to attach this box to this one, and this one. Now I've got 3 sounds being attached, being synchronized. So if I'm moving the French boxes, it's going to play together. So it was a stupid project, and thanks to that, we've won an hackathon for when Microsoft decided to move away from IE to Spartan, which was the first edge. They have support for WebXR, and they didn't know what to do with that, so they've done the hackathon. And on our side, we have proposed that, and because the other projects were really bad, we've managed to win the contest, and it was put online. So sometimes hackathon is just about because the other people are not good enough. Okay, so maybe you're waiting for failures. Now let's switch to VR. Obviously, we're still going to do some audio stuff in VR. So this is my grandmother and this is my brother. So WebXR. So first we need to give a little bit of explanation about what is WebXR. So maybe you've heard about WebVR. So WebVR was before. It was only for virtual reality. There was WebVR 1, WebVR 1.1, and we decided to support WebVR 1.1. And then everybody decided to, let's deprecate WebVR and create WebXR because, nobody cares. We care because we are creating engine for people. And this is also the beauty of using an engine. Like developer using Babylon, they don't care about the fact that everything changed. Our role is to reconnect everything as far as we can. So WebXR is an evolution of WebVR. So it started first to be in VR. So on Oculus Quest, or you have a headset on a desktop on PC, but it can also do augmented reality scenarios, either using, phone like this one that's called LiDAR. So the iPhone is not supporting yet WebXR, but you're not forced to have a LiDAR. It can use RGB cameras to do a deep learning analyzing of the 3D around you and create a kind of 3D mesh to let you put your object there. The browser supporting it are Edge, which is Chrome in a way, Opera, which is Chrome in a way, Chrome Android, which is Chrome, and Samsung Internet, which is based on Chromium. So unfortunately, Firefox used to support WebVR, and we all know that Mozilla is currently struggling. They don't have the same headcount as Google regarding the browser. So as far as I know, WebXR is still not supported by Firefox. Regarding hardware, you need to have a SteamVR compatible headset, which could be an Oculus, HTC Vive, Valve Index. We have headset also at Microsoft if you're interested in that. The Oculus Quest can do that in a standalone mode also, meaning that the Oculus browser will support WebXR. And you need to have not an iPhone, but a recent Android smartphone for augmented reality. You can also use the HoloLens 2, which is a very cheap device available everywhere for only $5,000. So feel free to use it, but it supports also WebXR. If you like to play with it, we have doc.babylon.js.com with WebXR stuff. So I'm going to show you how to transform the scene we've seen together just before in VR. So if you remember right, there weren't a lot of code. I forgot to show you the code at the beginning. If you believe in a specific God, you can start to pray for this God. So at the beginning, we had this line of code that was only loading the scene. So I'm going to close the sound for now. And inside this scene, everything was defined. The sound, position, the interaction with the scene. So it was created in 3D Studio Max by a 3D artist. And he gave us the file. We are loading that in Babylon, and everything is ready. So it's one line of code to have the 2D experience. And we are forcing ourselves with David to have great features in one line of code when possible. It's kind of a challenge we're giving to ourselves, which sometimes is complex. And this is the way to create the WebXR experiment by default. So once the scene has been created, you're going to use the await keyword, because now we have a modern JavaScript. You're going to call this long function, create default XR experience async. And then by default, if you're doing that, it will check which is your currently connecting headset. Is it an Oculus Quest, an HTC Vive, whatever? It's going to download from our CDN the model of the controllers for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you give to the function also a specific object, which is the floor, because we don't know what is the floor in your scene. You can have decided that could be a specific object. If you give us the name of this object, so once again, just for fun and to check that American people are supporting the French characters, we name it Allée, which is the path to the castle in a way. So once you have that, if you have WebVR supported, you will have this icon being displayed. Okay? So now the next step is to switch into VR. That's why I'm trying to speak, before switching to. So this is the feedback you should be able to see if it works. So just remember, just 2 lines of code. Okay. And now if it doesn't work, it's because of Oculus, okay? Oh. No, wait. You never know. So it seems to work, but I forgot to enable the sound. Oh, I'm going to try to do something if I'm lucky enough. So normally you can see everything I'm doing. So this is the beauty of VR. Okay. So let's switch back in VR. Oh, I'm super lucky today. You don't see it, obviously. Okay, so let's switch back to. So I'm doing my live there. Okay, can see the feedback. Yeah. So now you see that the controller has been downloaded. When I'm moving my head, it's moving the camera, which is pretty convenient. And by default, you have a teleport target there, you see. And I can also decide where I would like to be teleported, like in front of that, for instance. As we are mapped to pointer events, it's going to work using touch, mouse, and also laser controllers. So we are generating pointer events for laser, which means that even if this scene has been created before VR, it's working in VR. You see? So now let's visit a little bit this scene. So there should be some specific sound there. Yes, some new sound. It's going to be more obvious over there. So you can discover the scene. And you hear some piano. Can you hear that? So it means that I can click there, and there is a skeleton playing piano there. So thanks to Web Audio, I can discover some part of the scene. And for fun, we have clickable stuff. So we have Hamlet. We have Clippy. Do you know who is Clippy? Who is old enough to? So Clippy is dead. Too bad. So I'm a huge fan of Quantum too. So I never really understood if the Schrödinger cat is dead or not. Dead, definitely dead. I don't know if I'm facing. No, I'm not facing the right part of there. Okay, I can move the and I6 and IE. So look over there. You see, nothing is there yet. Nothing clicking on the tomb of I6. There is a logo like the Batman one. So this was the first stupid demonstration in VR. So using just spatial sound. So you see that, do you agree that everything is better in 3D and everything is better in 3D in VR? So So now the next step, as I love to do music, so I started to work on this project this time. And the initial goal that I shifted, because it was obviously on my spare time, I wanted to do a kind of, I don't know the name in English, the name in French, maybe you're going to help me, it's Simon, le jeu Simon. You know, where you need to remember like the colors and the sounds. And I wanted to do like a memory game in a way and on a virtual piano. So it was the initial goal. And then while I was coding, I've done something else, obviously. So what I ended up doing was to play sound on a virtual piano. And do you remember the ribbon, you know, that was doing a real-time analysis? So I'm using it there. And it's a 360, so it means that you're switching, you know, the note there. And it's beautiful for me. Like, I'm pretty proud of the colors, which is super rare as a developer to choose the right color. So for once, it was great. So it's pretty simple. I'm loading the various sounds. I'm, you know, putting it there. And when I've got support for a touch or a click, it's going to play the sound. So to play that in VR, like this is a 2D view of it, you need to switch the camera. So I like to be at the center of the circle. So for that, I'm going to switch camera to remove this one and use this one instead. So you see now I'm at the center of it, which is not obvious when you're not in VR. And now I'm going to, well, praise the God, I'm going to try it immediately. Tell me if it's not, if you cannot use the output. Oh, this is not good sign. No. Can you use the output or not? Okay. And now? Cool. So this is around me. So this is made to be run in only the Oculus Quest 2, which is wireless. So I'm using the cable to be sure that I don't have Wi-Fi connection on stage. But it's cool because now I have the, without the wire, I can turn around forever. With the cable, you will have some accidents, so don't do that at home. And now I can play the sound. You see what I'm trying to do? I was thinking about a music for a movie. I don't know what you think about that. It could be a great movie, music for movies. So again, I'm just, you see, clicking on stuff to enable it. The next step, what would be great is to, I need to check what's around me. It would be to tap on it. So I haven't done it yet, but the next demo will use it. Using, you know, checking if an object is touching another object to enable the NOT. So just to show you that this is also working using the HoloLens. So I've got a video, I didn't bring my HoloLens. So this is the same one. So it's using the HoloLens with these holograms. To make it better on HoloLens, you need to remove the background. If you put a black texture, it's going to be transparent. That's why I can see through. And then I'm going to switch in VR by clicking this button. So now I'm not in VR, I've got a 2D hologram. Now the piano will be around me using the HoloLens. And you see we have hand tracking in Babylon.js also. So you can use your hand, and the Oculus Quest is doing that too. And now I can click and play the wrong note. You see, that's why I put some colors to help me to remember about on which note I should click on. So it will a little bit my memory game. Okay, so you're still alive. Yeah. So this is a tricky part of my session. So I'm looking at the average age in the room. Who knows about Jean-Michel Jarre? I'm pretty proud of you, because most of the time going to conferences, people are like, who? And I'm so sad. So Jean-Michel Jarre, for people that don't know him, is a famous electronical music composer, could be considered one of the father of electronical music. He's French. And he has created this great experiment on stage. It's a laser harp. You have laser, he's got specific gauntlets, and you can cut the laser to play, some specific sound. And I was completely amazed by that when I was young. And one day I thought but let's do that in VR. It's obvious I need to create that in VR. So I've been creating that in VR. Then I wanted to do more. I want to use you. I want you to be part of the experiment. So you need to go on this URL using your phone, your PC, or whatever that can generate sound. I don't have Wi-Fi on mine, so maybe it won't work. But so aka.ms/JMJ, Jean-Michel Jarre. Okay. So you have some sound. So normally, if you're connected, you should press the unmute button. Cool. And we are going to test that it's working fine. Don't be surprised. I'm going to play sound on all your device. Ready? Okay. So you're going to be the speaker. Because this is not the right name. This is not my music. Okay, so now I need to switch in VR. And normally, this is what should happen. I will cut the laser and I will play the note on your smartphones or device using WebSocket and Web Audio. Okay? Crossing fingers. So I will probably start to struggle to display what's in the headset. So for now, you cannot see what's going on, I guess, like usual. Here it is. Can you see it? Great. Ready? Well, it works. And you see, I can see you. Thanks to WebRTC, I've got a feedback camera to control that you're not doing bad stuff with me. So what we use there, WebRTC, WebSocket, Web Audio, WebXR. Okay, don't tell me the web is not powerful enough to do stupid stuff. So thank you for helping me to do this demo. So there is more serious demos. So this is my more or less real job at Microsoft, not completely. I'm working on SDK to connect people using the Microsoft Teams infrastructure. So using a JavaScript SDK. It's using WebRTC under the hood to do video and voice calling, SMS, or to join a Teams meeting. So I know we are using Zoom, but Microsoft Teams is a competitor of Zoom or Slack, if you know it. And I wanted to do a buzzword, a metaverse demo. Okay. So as we don't have enough time, I've done a video because it requires someone to connect to my Teams meeting, and it could, could be complex. So my girlfriend, once again, she's my biggest fan, is on the first row, and I'm using her also to do my my demonstration because I've been stuck at home for more than 2 years. I'm so happy to see you, by the way. Real human in a real room. It's awesome. It's the best metaverse ever. But for 2 years, I was at home and unfortunately, Christina was the only human being at home, so I'm forcing her to participate to my demos. So what we're going to see, I'm going to show you the prototype running inside Babylon.js without the connection to Teams in a way. So this is a 3D scenes once again that can be in VR. And this is a museum. And the idea was to have a virtual visit of a museum, of a house. And I'm going to press the call button. The call button is going to call Christina, who will be in Microsoft Teams. So we will see Christina there instead of this fake video. And also, I wanted to be able to visit the virtual home to put like the video feed on my end, so I can walk around the house and discuss with the sales representative. So let's suppose she's a sales representative. So this is exactly the same one, but using this time WebRTC and Web Audio coming from Microsoft Teams. And let's do that in a video. It lasts 2 minutes, a little bit more than 2 minutes. So hello, I am in this virtual museum inside a metaverse running on top of WebXR and Babylon.js. And let's imagine I like to visit this museum with a lot of paintings. But I could be quickly lost because I'm not really an expert in art. So I've included an option, which is really cool, being able to call someone over Teams. So what I'm going to do, I'm using Azure Communication Services to be able to call someone inside Microsoft Teams. So it's a regular Microsoft Teams, nothing special about this version. And I'm going to press the call button and I'm going to establish a connection with this beautiful woman. So normally, I should be in the lobby in the other side, and she should be able to accept me. And as soon as she's accepted me, so hello, Christina. So Christina is my girlfriend, so she helped me to do this demonstration. And Christina, can you please help me to go inside this museum because I'm a little bit lost?
Yes, of course. Could you please go in front of you and go closer to the wall that's on the right or on the big room? Do you see it?
Okay, I'm going to take you with me on my controller. It will be easier, so I'm going to take you there. So is it on my right?
Oh, yes. Look at the picture on your right, just the first one. It looks so beautiful.
This one?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Should we buy it? Do you like it too?
It depends on the number of the zero after the first
don't
price.
worry, it's not the price, it's the when it was made. So I don't know about the price. Maybe we should discuss about that later on. So, but it's great. We agreed on this one. So as you can see, so what you see at the top right is what Christina was seeing in Teams. So I was taking the WebGL canvas and I was streaming it as a video feed to Microsoft Teams. So when I was moving in real time, she was able to see that. And it was completely improvised, trust me, like we didn't script it, but it really worked. She was able to tell me like, go that way, what is this object? So we managed to have this kind of collaboration experience. Obviously, going back to web audio and VR, we can use audio to localize, objects. For instance, I could put the sound of Christina, in the center of the room. And if I'm going, far away from it when she will speak me, I know she's speaking on my left. This kind of advanced interaction. And I thought it could be interesting to do kind of virtual visit to buy houses, from VR. So if you'd like to go further, you can try Babylon.js. I hope you will love playing with it. We have Web Audio WebXR support. We have also a 3D GUI in a way, if you like. Everything in VR needs to be done in the canvas, unfortunately, meaning that you cannot have HTML classical control that will be projected in VR. So you need to rebuild your own GUI library. So we've done that for you. And check my blog, you will have access to most of the sample I've shown today. And thank you, merci. If you got questions, it's a time.
Thank you, David. Any questions?
Nothing broke. No question. Nobody would like to do VR.
Maybe online. I don't know. Check on. Okay, by the way, all the students on the top right of the room, they wrote games with Babylon.js this year. So if you are curious, other people to know about it, they can show their creations.
Michel told me it was great. So if it's good enough, we'll check that. You can be featured on our babylonjs.com site.
Okay.
So send that to me and I will check that.
So come to show your games to David later.
And in exchange of a little bit of money, well, we'll discuss that later on.
So I'll ask a question. It's not meant to be confrontational at all, but I'll just say that. So I'm a web video game developer with audio, and our engine, unfortunately, uses 3JS. I know. I'm
so sad.
I know, but so this is actually I've known about Babylon.js, and this looks fantastic. So it's really wonderful work. And in your completely unbiased opinion, could you please kind of to web audio developers that are kind of considering the two, talk about maybe not to pit the two against each other, but just in general, kind of what are the frameworks to consider when somebody's making the choice? Like, what am I going to start off with as a framework?
Based on the fact you are audio, like you do an audio experiment and need to choose between FreeJS and Babylon.js, yeah. So the philosophy are different. So and then there is pro and cons because of that. In our cases, we wanted to have everything in the box being maintained by us, mainly in the community, because we've seen FreeJS. So we started after FreeJS. So we decided to do architecture choices different from FreeJS because there's no really interest to do a copycat of it. We wanted to have a different spirit. And we've seen a lot of people complaining about the lack of, of issue being maintained or PR integrated or plugins. There's a lot of plugins, but that are not maintained by the core team, I would say. So the beauty of having a lot of plugins means that you could have like much more advanced or custom stuff being done by the community. The community is still bigger in FreeJS than Babylon.js. But in the other hand, like if you choose Babylon.js, you have the guarantee that we will maintain it for you, avoiding at all costs breaking changes. So we have sometimes breaking changes because like when we're switching from WebVR to WebXR, we cannot have our API being strictly identical. But we're going to have some documentation to help you to migrate from the previous one to the new one. So it's more a general philosophy different. Regarding audio, to be honest, most of the time, FreeJS got better stuff because of the community and of the people know more about FreeJS doing audio stuff. And we wanted to do more stuff for gamers on our side. It's super rare that we have games being built on Babylon.js. Today, Babylon.js is used by people doing stuff in the industry to design buildings, to do e-commerce, stuff like that. So audio is not their main priority, unfortunately. So this is the answer. Like if Babylon.js is good enough for you, you will have everything set up in an easy way, as you've seen. But if not, either you use your custom library. You can still use your custom library in Babylon.js, but maybe you will see more, documentation or blogs on FreeJS. So I started to be I try to be as unbiased as possible, because normally, if you're like pragmatic, you should choose Babylon.js. But
other question?
They're all dead.
So it was a really wonderful, impressive, and fun demos, David.
I hope so.
Thank you very much. So if you've got no more questions, we can continue. And David will be here after at the coffee break, so you will be able to talk with him. And I encourage my students to say hello to David and show what you did. Sure, no more questions.
Okay, I've got a lot of stuff to unpack, so...
Okay, so...
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.